Live life to the fullest. Seize the day. Live each day as if it were your last. We have all these different phrases on how you should live the best life possible, but I think they leave us with the impression that life has to be exciting. Traveling around the world, going on crazy rooftop parties, or hanging out every day at the beach with a bunch of beautiful people, this is how you make the most out of life, and if you don't live this way, then you're going to regret it. This narrative is further pushed by social media and vlogs, where people take these amazing moments and then create like highlight clips out of them, and it makes it seem like this is what a life worth living is supposed to look like. So in this video, I just wanted to give this narrative a little bit of pushback. I don't care if you are Casey Neistat or David Dobrik or whoever else. Everyone has boring parts of their life. Everyone has moments where they're following some routine that they've done a long time, or they're working on something monotonous, or they are just unsure what to do and time just kind of passes by. Boring, ordinary moments are just a fact of life that everyone has, but it gets hidden away when all you see is a highlight reel. As I already mentioned, I do think internet and social media plays a pretty big role in terms of glorifying an exciting life, but I don't think that's the only thing that's going on here. I think it's also just a consequence of being human that the more exciting things kind of rise to the top. Like if your best day last year was just you at home with your favorite book, drinking a hot cup of tea, then even though it might have been a great and very fulfilling day, it doesn't create a very click-worthy moment. So one part of what is going on here is that you shouldn't compare yourself to like these highlight reels. Their lives aren't constantly like this. This is just kind of the best moments. But the other part is also that they're not necessarily selecting the best moments in terms of how they would like to live their lives. These moments are curated for what is more interesting to watch or what gets more engagement on social media or whatever else. So even their own highlight reels might not be representative of what their actual best life would look like. While I'm sure many people crave these adventures and kind of yearn for having some new exciting thing every day, I do get the sense that some people also just kind of get pushed into this or pressured into it because they feel like if you don't have an exciting life or you don't want to do a bunch of exciting things, then that means you're average or lame or whatever else. It's important to keep in mind how what you see of people's lives on the internet doesn't reflect reality. I think the more important message in this video is just that it's okay to want a boring life. Like you don't need to want to travel all the time or be social all the time or go do crazy shit all the time. If you just want to be at home with your loved ones or be reading a book or be working on some project, then it's completely fine and even good if you prefer that. It feels quite weird to grade my own life in this kind of weird arbitrary excitement scale, but I've lived in 5 different countries, I think, and I visited like 30 different countries, and I've been on rooftop parties and underground parties and underwater and in mountains, and I've traveled alone and with friends and with just fellow travelers, just all kinds of random exciting experiences. I feel like I've seen what this side of the coin has to offer, and I'm not saying anything negative against it. It's completely wonderful, and if that's your thing, go for it. And to add to that, there's nothing stopping me from going to live my more exciting life right now. I'm lucky enough that I have a job which gives me enough freedom, both in terms of finances and responsibilities, that I can just kind of close my laptop, pack a bag, and then just head out to wherever. We're having a team gathering in Mexico in a couple of weeks, so I do know I already have a bunch of good friends and colleagues who are already there. So I could just get a ticket, and this time tomorrow I could be jumping down the waterfall of my choice and then be spending the evenings around a fireplace drinking pina coladas. So then why don't I? The main reason is because for where I am in life right now, I prefer to spend more time alone. I prefer to have a consistent environment that I'm kind of in complete control of, so I can spend more of my time and effort focused on building something that is important to me, that gives me meaning, that gives me fulfillment. I prefer to be improving myself over improving my network right now. I want to highlight that when I talk about having a boring life, I'm not talking about giving up on having dreams or having a passion or challenging yourself or going outside of your comfort zone. These things are still important and still something you should kind of strive towards or that are generally good for your life. When I say a boring life is fine, what I mean is if your life would look boring as a vlog or kind of from the outside, that does not mean that you should accept being bored with your life. If your life consists of going to a job you don't really like and then talking to people you don't really vibe with and then going home and watching Netflix shows you don't care about, then you have every reason to want to change that. I'm just saying if you're at the place right now where you want to focus on something like building a business or learning a particular skill, or you have some goal in life that maybe requires more concentrated effort or sitting down and focusing, or maybe you just prefer to stay at home and read a book and that's kind of how you like to recharge or how you like to spend your time, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you don't need to feel like you are missing out on the real side of life or that somehow the people who are doing the other things are much happier. You're not failing at living up to what a good life is just because what you prefer to do is not what is most memorable or click-worthy on Instagram. Happiness, fun, and fulfillment is a pretty big topic, but I wanted to touch on it a little bit since I think it's quite related to all of this. I do think there's like some more hidden motivations in terms of status and kind of showing that your life is worthwhile to doing these things. Like if you go on big adventures and you can kind of share them to your friends, then that shows that you have a more interesting life, and that's a good thing. But if we kind of put that to the side, I do think happiness is the main motivating factor for living an exciting life. But I think similarly to how we kind of overestimate the effect something like success or money will have on our happiness, I think we make the same error when it comes to things like excitement or adventure. I do want to stress that this is a very personal thing. Like, I do know some people who are just like travel or adventure junkies or whatever, and they kind of need this type of thing in their life or they become really unhappy. And then I know other people who just are not like that at all. So I'm not trying to take anyone away from anyone's individual experience, but I think as a general rule, we have a tendency to kind of over attribute the effect these type of things have on our happiness because they're just so like visible and so visceral, and it's just like such a bite-sized experience. Things like maintaining physical and mental health, having good relationships to those close to you, being able to help out others in some way or contribute, be that to maybe your work or some community or something else that means something to you. I think those are kind of the core building blocks of happiness. And while doing something fun or exciting can help shift the needle a little bit, I don't think it can replace any of these core foundational things. I also think we are a bit too quick to equate happiness to something that is fun or enjoyable. At least for me, happiness is a bit more about fulfillment and about doing something that I can be proud of or creating something that other people are going to get value out of. And it's not so much something that has to be fun every moment. Like doing this YouTube channel, for example, it's a lot of work and it's often not that fun. I mean, I do enjoy it, but it's like very often I have to do things in the moment where I would rather just be out at a beach drinking pina coladas. But I do it anyway because working towards something that gives me fulfillment and that gives me meaning gives me more happiness in the long run than just doing the fun and exciting thing. If you like this video, I hope you'll subscribe. I'll go back to my boring life now. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.